Welcome to Community. I'm your host, Cody Thompson, and I'm very lucky to be joined today by a very special man in the NDIS, Baily from 24/7 Plan Management. Baily, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Cody.
No, thanks for being here, mate.
I'm very excited. Absolute pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, tell us a bit about you. Tell us a bit about 24/7 Plan Management.
Sure. I think the whole journey started when I was fed up of corporate life
Yeah.
and wanted to get out of corporate life and found the non-for-profit space. And the organization I was working for did aged care and disability.
Yeah.
And just interestingly found my passion eventually in NDIS space, because I think NDIS space and my knowledge about numbers sort of came together because I could see the humanity behind the numbers.
Yeah.
And there we go. That's what 24/7 Plan Manager started. And yeah, never looked back. It's just been an awesome journey so far.
Yeah. And how long's it been going for now?
So at the moment, we are sitting on 4 years, but
Yeah, wow.
actively on 3 years.
Yeah.
And like I said, the real interest is when you can actually make a difference in somebody's life. And plan management is such a small part of NDIS, but the impact somebody can make with it's just been so fulfilling.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we fit in.
Love that. And what is plan management? Like in its purest form,
Mm.
many of our listeners either experience it, some may have never heard of it. Like,
Yep.
what's your like quick explanation of what plan management is?
Elevator pitch.
Yeah, a bit like that.
Yeah. So the way I like to say it is, in the good old days when FBOS machines were sort of coming into play. So
Yep.
let's go back to the early 2000s, which shows our age now. Is when we used to go see a GP. We would pull out our Medicare card
Yep.
at the counter and say, "Here's our Medicare card."
Yeah.
And at the reception, they would swipe the Medicare card. In NDIS,
Yeah.
if your funds are managed by an accountant such as myself, a plan manager,
Yeah.
you would just pass the email address of the plan manager.
Yeah.
So instead of you having to pay for a therapist
Yeah.
or a service, they then send the invoice to the plan manager.
Yeah.
The plan manager is essentially responsible for managing your funds. You don't pay for anything. The plan manager then lodges the claim on your behalf to NDIS. So take a plan manager as your private bookkeeper, private
Yeah.
accountant who manages your NDIS funds.
Yeah.
They send you monthly statements similar to your bank statements. They make sure that your funding is within the scope of what NDIS wanted you to achieve.
Yeah.
So a plan manager is your private bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Elevator pitch. There you go.
Now I know. That's really, really good. Yeah, awesome. And in terms of like, I guess the type of people that you're working with on a regular basis,
Mhm.
are you dealing directly with people with disabilities, or is it more their families? Is it a mix of everybody? Like, how does it work?
That's a very interesting question, Cody, because at the NDI space is very interesting in that perspective,
Yeah.
and community
Yeah.
is where that comes into play. So we work with families.
Mhm.
To answer your question, yes, we work with families. We work directly with individuals, but we also starting to see an increasing number of organizations calling on our help.
Yeah.
So plan managers sort of, I'd like to call ourselves the glue, but
Yeah.
because we make the payments, have direct relationship with the providers,
Yeah.
have relationship with the support coordinators, and even the family members, because they are keeping an eye out for everything. So yes, we prefer dealing with the participants directly because it's their goals that we are trying to achieve by making sure we make the payments.
Yeah.
But yes, we do work with a lot of support coordinators and providers. Sometimes the providers are not support coordinators. It could be just organizations that provide service saying, "Oh my goodness, you need a plan manager
Yeah.
because it's funded through plan management.
Yeah.
Let's get you on board." That's how most of our referrals are coming through the day today, through community. Saying,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love that. It's effectively like the team that surrounds the person
yes,
ultimately.
yeah,
And in each sort of way, they will have a contribution to make to support that person.
yes. MDT is what we call it. So it's a multidisciplinary team.
Yeah. I
I
love that.
come on with the accountant's hat. You've got the therapist, you've got the family, you've got the carers, and we together at the participant at the center as an MDT work out how we can do it best.
Yeah, nice. And you mentioned team, and
Yeah.
obviously, like you said, around the person. But what about like your team? Is it like hundreds of people? We're talking like one or two? Like,
No,
tell,
we
not quite.
very much not quite. No, very much a family-owned business.
Yeah, okay.
So mostly dad and mom run business. We've
Yep.
got a team of people that operate behind the screens, ensuring our compliance is taken care of.
Yeah.
All the invoices are processed on time. Inquiries are answered. But it's a very much a dad and mom business because that's the way we want to keep it. I think it might be helpful if I actually tell you why
Yeah.
the whole idea of family business. So the thought process is this: when we had our third child, um, we were told potentially that there could be a disability,
Yep.
and we knew nothing about disability at that space.
Yep.
And that's when we started learning. That's when I moved from the corporate sector to the non-for-profit
Yep.
sector to learn more. And if I wanted to use a plan manager, how would I want that service to be?
Yep.
Yes, the national large companies are amazing. They do an amazing good job. But me as a person would prefer speaking to an individual with a
Yep.
mobile number, give them a call, have that direct relationship. So that's what I've done. So I've said, if I were to use this service, what would I need?
Yep.
I would need a family service.
Yep.
So yeah, we keep it small, simple,
Love
and
that.
yeah, small family business.
And is it true? I heard this from somebody the other day. They were talking about you
Yeah.
in a really positive way, but they were saying you're basically one of the only plan managers they know that actually still, but effectively the owner of the business calls every single participant, has a conversation just to check in. Is that true?
It is true.
Yeah, cool.
It is true. So we operate from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah,
Now, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. is very difficult to maintain, especially now that we are 3 hours behind
yeah,
Eastern
yep,
states. The way we do it is we break our journey. So we have teams that start 5 a.m. W time,
yeah,
and we have teams that finish at 8 p.m. W time,
yep,
just to make sure that we cover everyone
mhm,
with onboarding and ensuring that when participants come over, I personally try to make contact.
yeah,
Um, Again, goes back to the same principle. If I was a family member of somebody that is now part of the NDIS,
yeah,
I'd really, really like to know who's looking after my bills.
yeah.
Who is this person that sends me that monthly statement? I just want to say hello once, at least once, at least once. Um, the reason why other plan managers might not be able to do it is because of all the financial cuts we've received
Yeah.
as in the plan management industry. It's purely to make the financial sustainability of NDIs. I understand, but this is the way we operate. And yes, it's a struggle, but we enjoy that struggle. So when you enjoy something you do, it's okay.
Yeah, look, it doesn't feel like work, right? And I think
No,
that's
no,
that's
exactly.
really something that it's great to hear. 4 years later, it still doesn't feel like work, or at
No,
least that's what it's sounding like. So
no,
that's
no, it
yeah,
doesn't.
no, I love that. I love that. And you touched on, like, I guess there's a lot of change at the moment in the scheme. There's a lot happening. I like you understand the why. There's a lot of costs involved. There's a lot
Yes.
happening. And it really comes to the core of, I guess, why we're doing this podcast series as well. Is like, for me, I feel we travel around Australia, we connect all these different communities. There's so much negativity and noise outside of the NDIS about the NDIS.
Hmm.
So much money, all this sort of stuff. But there's so much good happening in the space as well. And I think that's where we wanted to shine a light a little bit on different providers, but also different participants, family members, because there is so much good. But on the change aspect, like, how are you finding it at the moment? Some of these changes that have been rolled out, what is the current state of play to you?
So completely agree with what
Mm.
you said. It's often the good stories that uh, you know
They
make
get
us get out
missed.
of bed. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
those amazing stories.
yeah.
I guess the changes, and I'll quote the most recent change, which is Section 33 of funding periods. When it got rolled out on the 20th of May this year, 2025, a lot of people didn't know
Mhm.
about it and they weren't prepared for it.
Yeah,
Systems were not ready to actually take on that. So, somebody who got a new plan on the 20th of May essentially meant that in 3 months, come August, that particular funding period was going to be over.
yeah,
People weren't aware of that. People didn't know enough about it. It's NDS did put out a lot of information before, but I guess it's when everyone is busy doing their day-to-day operations, they just didn't learn about it.
yeah,
So it's come August when funding ran out, or even earlier, people didn't know enough.
yeah,
Um, Now there's an information gap, and I personally believe that if we are able to inform and educate, a lot of the worries change.
yeah,
So it unfortunately fell into our hands a lot to explain that to people.
yeah,
And thanks to the advocacy for organizations like DEC and DIA that actually made NDIS go to their FAQ page and make things clearer.
yeah,
So now that there's been an addition to those FAQs that explains how Section 33 works, it's made it a lot easier. So education gave the solution to it.
yeah,
We know the principle of Section 33 was implemented to protect the participants. Nobody's arguing about that.
Yeah,
I guess it's about how the implementation happened.
yeah.
Um,
I think, well, on that, like, I've got 3 kids,
yeah,
love them to death, but it's chaos, it's
yeah,
crazy, like, going through normal life in the
yeah,
sense of, like, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday with
yeah,
kids. You throw a disability in the mix, you throw then the, mum and dads that have to then manage their child's plans. There's so much going on. So,
yeah,
like, working in the industry now for years, I still find it overwhelming and daunting and trying to keep up with the change.
yeah,
It's crazy that we expect family members, people living with a disability to do the same.
yeah.
So totally agree. I think education is the most important thing in a lot of ways. And if we gave enough notice,
Mhm.
it'd make it so much easier.
Yes, and with that education and bringing life together, what we've seen is often when you break the barriers of not knowing,
Mhm.
the instant light turns on.
Yeah.
So something we use without even knowing is CBIDL. We say that so commonly, but for example, if it was you, Cody,
Yeah.
with 3 kids, and then now a child has got a plan, CBIDL means nothing to you.
Mhm.
But CBIDL is capacity building, improved daily living, where the budget sits for therapy supports.
Yeah.
The minute you explain that and say NDIS is given 15 hours of speech therapy and 20 hours of occupational therapy, and that's why you have $6,000 sitting there,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the biggest advocacy we've been trying to do is to remove the dollar signs
Yeah.
and actually put hours.
Yeah. I love that.
So instead of saying you've got $45,000 in CBIDL, you can now say you've got 10 hours of psych, 20 hours of physio,
Yeah.
so on and so forth, making it a lot more readable. We do that anyway. We do that with our onboarding to say this is what it means. So yeah, 100% agree. Education, and you remove that barrier, voila, makes it easier.
Yeah. And it leads into my next question, but I was just going to say, like, that's a small change, but changing dollar value to hours makes such a difference.
Yes.
Can't say that answer now because
No.
that's a great one.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, like, if you could make a small change in the scheme right now that you think would have a big positive difference, what would that be?
Um, the first thing that comes to my mind is there is a plethora of information
Yeah.
that comes out when you're onboarding or when you're first starting into NDIs.
Mm.
We ourselves look at our information packs that we send out when we bring somebody, and continuously refine to say how much information do they need or when do they need it.
Yep.
The information overload is truly overwhelming, as you know.
Yeah.
And that example of 3 children, and I myself have 3 children, having to manage the new plan that we've received. What is NDIs? There's a lot of information. If there was a place such as the local area coordinator's office
Mhm.
where you could walk in, go into, and actually attend these in broken down pieces, whether it's online, which is a great way, or podcasts such as these
Yeah.
that focus on segments that you can listen to a particular section. Hey, that's the idea for the next podcast. Uh,
Love it.
next, when they can listen to it, saying, okay, what is NDIS? Now that you're in NDIS, how can you access supports? What is plan management? What is agency managed?
Yep.
And if there are broken down pieces of information that people could attend to that is inclusive, which we'll get to,
Yeah.
inclusive at their own pace. I think that'll be an amazing change. It already exists. I just don't think the reach, the availability is as much
Yeah.
for those individuals,
Yeah. I agree with that.
and that are customized to them as well. So if there is an EC, again, early childhood,
Yeah.
and if there is a participant who is on early childhood, and if the parents wanted to listen more about functional capacity assessments, then I believe they need to be that particular information that they can access.
Yeah.
So, if whether it's directly through NDI organizations such as yourself that can come out with that information, I feel that'll make a huge impact
Yeah. I love
in
that.
the space.
Yeah. Big time. Big time. I mean, for lack of a better term, but knowledge is power, right? And I
Yep.
think being able to be informed and make choices and
Yes.
ultimately choice and control is
Yeah.
at the center of everything we do.
Correct.
But having that education behind you is really important.
Yeah.
I want to ask one of the things that we see a lot, but in particular, I feel like through the DEC at our events, we've seen a lot lately is people coming to our events and expos and they're not even on the scheme.
Yeah.
So they don't have NDIS supports. They either don't know where to start or potentially they've applied but been knocked back.
Yep.
And I personally feel there's not enough in out there at the moment to support these people.
Mhm.
What do you think, I guess, on that topic, but more broadly, like, is there a role that you at 24/7 can play or already may play
Yep.
in helping those people, like pre-scheme before there's any funding, just really just getting support?
Yeah. So I think that's maybe I can answer that in a two-part
Yeah.
way. Um, I know of organizations such as Kin Advocacy
Mhm.
or organizations that help people advocate for
Yeah.
their needs to get into advocacy space. Sorry, to get into NDIs
Yep.
through the advocacy space. The the problem I see there is that it's sometimes fragmented
Yep.
to either are you culturally and linguistically diverse? Are you from an ATSI background? Or what are your previous situations that allow you to be eligible for that advocacy? What I've seen amazingly well, which is the second part, is that organizations are coming up
Mm.
with their own corporate social responsibility, saying we have a program where employees will actually donate their time, their skill, their knowledge
Right.
to help participants get on the space.
Mm.
So it is amazing to see organizations come up that way. We on purpose have actually stayed away from doing that part of the CSR. We have our own corporate social responsibility division,
Yep.
but we've stayed away from that because of the direct conflict of interest that we advocate for people to be plan managed.
Yep. Yeah.
And because we are plan managers, we've stayed away from that.
Yeah.
However, whenever we hear of an opportunity for us to contribute to such a program, I think it's an amazing program.
Yeah.
Um, the people getting into NDI space, as you know, is also controversial because there are salespeople out there
Big time.
that try and get people onto the NDIs. So we've got to be careful about who we align ourselves with
Yep.
as well. So we look for ethical providers that are honestly, genuinely trying to do the right thing. So community organizations such as
Mhm.
yourself,
Yeah.
we love to partner with because we know the purpose, the soul.
Yeah.
Um, that is a space I think that we need to watch out for,
Mm.
where the unethical behavior could come in highly, and therefore probably some regulation might be needed.
Yeah, big time. And again, it goes back to what we said at the top, but there is a lot of negativity and rightfully so, because unfortunately it's only a minority, but those minority are in it for the wrong reasons and doing the
Always.
wrong things. So and that's awesome to hear that you guys have a really ethical lens on what you do, who you connect with.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We talked before about inclusion,
Yeah.
and I want to hit you with this, but just like it in simple words, what does inclusion mean to you? And not to 24/7.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean
To
to
me.
Bailey?
Oh my goodness, this is probably going to be controversial. Um, See, I think when I look at the word inclusion, I often think why the word.
Yeah.
So if we think why that word was created, let's go back to whenever this word was created.
Yeah.
Let's look at the etymology of the word and say, why did anybody have to think of the word inclusion?
Mm.
It's probably because somebody was excluded.
Yeah.
So inclusion actually comes from a Latin word, which I think somehow relates to being put in a box or put in.
Yeah.
Don't know the exact, but from memory, that's what the etymology is. I know it's from a Latin word.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
So it's because somebody is being excluded that we have to now include them.
Yeah.
When did that start? Why did that start?
Yeah.
When did this you and me
Yep.
started? If that never existed, I know it's philosophical and takes us to a different scenario of the question, but for me, I think that's what we've got to break. So if we look at this room right now,
Yeah.
who's not here
Yeah.
and why were they not able to come here?
Yeah.
So at a DEC event, at our office meeting, wherever we look at, if a particular person couldn't be there, we are actually excluding them.
Yeah.
So if we can remove those barriers, is what inclusion is. I also feel that inclusions, we use it in policy all the time. We use it in our documents all the time. It's become one of those catchphrases, inclusion,
Yeah.
because it's sort of the catchphrase. For me, it's a mirror. When I look at inclusion, it's a mirror. I look at it to say, who am I excluding?
Yeah.
Um, so for me, that's what inclusion means. Inclusion means for me, to make sure we're not excluding anyone, either by thought, words, or even forgetting to.
Yeah.
That's what we look at 24/7. We don't. preach about it.
Yeah.
It's part of our day to day,
Yeah.
day to day operations, and we continuously improving.
Yeah.
From the feedback from our participants saying that document was not readable,
Yeah.
or your software or your app, I'm blind, or I can't see. So what can I do? So we're continuously improving on it. So we try and continuously improve, but we don't preach about it a lot
Mhm.
because of, I think, our core belief is that that word shouldn't exist.
Yeah, I love that. You said it's controversial, but I don't think it is at all. It
Yeah,
comes from a great place of, like you said, living in what feels like at times a utopian world, but it shouldn't, in
yeah,
the sense that it just should be everyone is included.
yeah.
Like it shouldn't exist because it's just the norm that everybody's included. So
It should be the norm. That's I
yeah,
completely agree. Um, Having said that, looking at Australia and NDIS as a business model or even a health system model, and comparing it to other parts of the world, we are so inclusive. Our
yeah,
community is
yeah, I agree with
amazing.
that. Yeah,
So yes, I understand that inclusion in terms of Australia is absolutely brilliant, and what we're doing is awesome. Always room for improvement,
yeah,
and I guess improvement starts at individual self,
yeah.
flows onto the community, and then we've got that social responsibility to look after each other.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Now, tell me at work, and I hope you don't take offense to this, but you work with a lot of numbers
Yes.
every single day.
Yep.
Some people love numbers,
I love
yourself.
it. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Others, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
How do you keep the fun in the team? And I know it's a very small team. You,
Yeah.
you sort of said mum and dad
Yep.
operator, but like, what do you guys do, whether it's day to day or
Yep.
going out? Like, what are your ways that you give back to yourselves to
Yep.
take a break and stay recharged and ready for the next day?
Yep.
But also, I guess, ready for your participants as well.
So I guess again break that into two bits. I don't have a work me and a family me.
Yeah.
This is me.
Yeah, I
I
love
don't
that.
have that separation.
Yeah.
It's probably because I work with my wife, and
Yeah.
this, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of the team and the other members of the team,
Mm.
um, every support item number. For listeners who actually don't know what the numbers are, those are the codes that NDIS wants us to use every time we make a claim. Tells us a story.
Yeah.
So when a participant has gone and done 04 underscore 104 underscore
The fact that you
0125,
know
yeah. so
that.
so um, we know that that participant has actually now gone out of their house, done some social community activities, and actually has done something meaningful in achieving their goal.
Yeah.
That's the story we read. So for us, we convert those numbers into stories. Otherwise, it's a boring job. Um, and then sometimes we have to do budget analysis to
Yeah.
say, is this going to work? Because the participant needs to do a respite or an
Yeah.
activity or look at housing. So for us, we convert that into stories.
Yeah.
That brings more meaning to our work.
Yeah. Really would.
Um, what keeps us driving? And next day we have I don't know. We talk a lot about movies,
Okay.
a lot about fun things that are happening around us,
Yeah.
just like any other workplace,
Yeah.
just to keep us going. But I guess we have a weekly Friday meeting
Mm.
where we just all come back, talk about our experiences, what worked, what didn't work, and often that's a 1 hour meeting. Never, ever stops at 1 hour. It often goes beyond because we talk about stories
Yeah.
and mostly connected to this. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what keeps us going.
Oh, I love that. That's really cool. Well, I want to know now from a crystal ball sort of view, but we've talked a lot about the now,
Yeah.
what's happening in disability sector, and even some of the recent changes, stuff like that.
Yep.
Looking in your crystal ball for 5 years' time, and not so much necessarily where you think it is going, because I think that is one path,
Yep.
but where would you like to see it? Like as a sector, and again, I don't say NDIS, I say disability because I want to make sure that we're talking and thinking about everybody with a disability, regardless whether or not they're on
Yep.
the scheme. But 5 years down the track, what would you like to see as a holistic sort of macro view of the sector?
Yep. So we've already seen the figures of how much this sector is growing.
Mm,
And when we say growing, that actually means helping participants as well, because growth means that's the number of people we are helping.
yeah,
I'd actually like to see that continue.
yeah,
I also believe that this needs to be sustainable.
mhm,
And as an accountant, I love that our tax funded dollars are going to better use. More importantly, I just want the sustainability to be there.
yeah,
So, with any business model that has come out, it's always a refining process. What I'm hoping that, so as of today, 2025, we're 10. 12 years into the act came out,
Yep.
NDIS Act came out. What I'd like to see when we reach 20, or mature, let's put it 21, that is a truly refined system that is actually benefiting and world class, which it is already
Yep.
is,
Great.
world class facility where we have tested, experimented, and perfected the model.
Mm.
In doing so, I know there's probably going to be some changes that other providers might not like, including plan managers,
Yep.
like we've seen. But I think if it's for the larger benefit of the industry, more importantly for that participant in the center, that's where I'd like to see it go. A
Yeah.
sustainable, perfected model in 20 years.
All right. So I've now prepared a short segment for you. I'm going to
Okay.
call it the Sharp Seven.
Yep.
Okay. We've talked a lot, and I love the way that you go about it and think deeply into things. I can really tell that you're really very considered when you talk about any topic.
Yep.
But I don't want that version
Okay.
of Bailey. I
Okay.
want sharp, first thing that comes to your mind, a
Okay.
couple of words. All
Yep.
right. So 7 questions to test you out.
All right. Let's go.
All right. First one. What's one word that describes the state of the NDIS today?
Growing.
Yep. What's the biggest challenge that you see right now across the sector?
Lack of information.
Yep. All right. What's the most rewarding part of your job?
Customer feedback.
Yeah.
Uh, when I say customer feedback, it's not participant alone. It's about customers that we deal with. So it could be a provider. It could be sometimes NDI saying, wow, you've done a good job there.
Yeah.
So just feedback, positive or negative, just the feedback.
Yeah, well, you learn from feedback, right?
Yes. Yes.
100%. Cool. Love that. I'll pay that.
Yeah.
If funding wasn't an issue, this is a good one. If funding wasn't an issue, what's one service that 24/7 plan management would offer tomorrow? Don't worry about money. Don't worry where it comes from. Like, what's the one thing that you would do to help participants?
Education, training.
Yeah.
Just if we were given funding to go and train participants, probably do more of their own fund management or even understand plans better,
Yeah.
we would do that tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Cool.
it's very expensive. So if you were going to ask me what's the value across every participant there, that's going to be in the millions. So
Yeah.
probably no. Yeah.
Okay. Unless we know the lotto numbers, we don't know it
Yeah.
yet. That's
No, not
okay.
yet. Yeah, correct.
That's fine. All right. This is more around you as Bailey, the business owner.
Mhm.
What's the best advice you've ever received as a business owner?
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. We often get in the jargon of using business terms, complexities, but just keeping it simple to why you're doing what you're doing often just clears all the path and gives you the correct answer. So keep it simple was probably the best advice.
Love it.
Yeah.
Something we're all guilty of not doing at times, I think. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
All right. What's a hobby or interest that no one knows? Like
About
peer
me?
behind the about Bailey. I want to peer behind the curtain here.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Actually, some people probably don't know this. I love perfumes.
Oh wow.
I love perfumes. So
You do always smell good. I'll give you
thank
that.
you,
Yeah.
thank you. So, yeah, just learning more about the notes, what it's made of, and yeah, even trying to recreate some of those fragrances. Yeah, I love perfumes, basically. Yeah,
Love that.
yeah,
Very cool. I didn't
yeah,
know that
yeah,
actually. That was really good. And my last question of the Sharp Seven is how do you define community? We talked about inclusion before,
yeah.
but how do you define community?
Again, probably one of those other deep thinking ones. See, I think i- if we were to write the word community,
Mm.
I actually look at the U. For me, in my brain, that's how the word comes. The U is sort of big.
Yeah.
So you got have COMM, then U.
Yeah.
I believe it starts with you and I.
Mm.
Because if you think you're part of the community, and the I part thinks I'm part of the community, that's the first thing. Then we have our families, then we have a friend
Yeah.
circle, and eventually we become that community.
Yeah.
So, which is one thing that I like about the DEC as well, is that I so feel the you and I in there
Mm.
because we're not just preaching, we are doing. And when we do that, and if everyone does that, then we become the community,
Love it.
therefore not needing exclusion because we are already included.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
love that. Yeah.
yeah.
Very cool.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Was it 7 already?
That's 7, mate. You ticked that off. You did very well. You
Thank you.
survived. So you did really, really well.
Yeah.
Um, what's something you'd like to leave the listeners with today in terms of, I guess, advice, a thought? Is there something you'd like to share with everyone to really take away from today?
If whoever is listening to this and is ever intrigued about learning more about NDIS
Mm.
and how to utilize funds, there is a lot of information out there. It's probably finding the right source. 100% NDIS is the best tool to go
Yep.
direct to NDIS. The National Call Center for NDIS has tremendously improved their service. They've done an amazing job with answering questions. There's a particular support provider, provider support line at
Yep.
the moment that people can ring. If you've got questions, don't guess. There is the National Call Center. We can ring. It's 1-800 800 110. Pick up the phone, give them a call, ask your questions. Don't take your information from the wrong spots. You can take it directly from the source from NDIS. They're amazing at what they do.
Yep.
Yes, they're busy. Sometimes you have to wait on the line,
Yep.
but they're very helpful. So if there's anybody wanting to know more information, please go to the source, find that, and if you're in doubt, call NDIS.
Yeah, I think that's really good feedback. Again, we hear it at all of our experts all the time, but mum, sister's friend went through this and this is her experience. And that's great,
Yeah.
but that's her experience.
Yes.
That's who she spoke to. That's who she dealt with.
Yeah.
And for her situation, that potentially was the best piece of advice, but it doesn't mean it's replicated for everybody.
Correct. See, I think why that thought process is coming is probably we're all sometimes forgetting why NDIS came into place.
Yeah.
NDIS came into place for one word: freedom.
Yeah.
It came to give that individual the freedom to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So, and it's to that individual. It's so individualized, it's so personalized. So, the circumstance of the aunt, uncle might be so very different to another person.
Yeah.
So, if you want that freedom through your NDIS plan to achieve your goals, pick up the phone if you're in doubt,
Yeah.
and don't read it off of somebody's website. Go to NDIS and ask that question directly.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
that's what I would have said. Yeah,
that. No, perfect. Well, thank you for coming in
yeah,
today. It's been so
absolute
great
pleasure.
to chat and I guess get to know you a little bit more as well, which is great to peer behind the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah,
For all of our listeners out there, if they do want to get in touch with you directly or with 24/7, I know
yeah,
you've done a great job of plugging the NDIS as a whole, but
yes,
like you are a business, and if people are interested in getting to know you a bit more,
yes.
how do they do that?
So they can visit our website,
Mhm.
247pm.com.au.
Yeah,
The number is 247, P for plan, M for manager.com.au. Drop us a line or send us an email or a website inquiry, and we'd be happy to help.
yeah,
Yeah,
perfect,
always happy to help.
awesome. And you are nationwide, right?
We are nationwide. Like I said, we start at 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.,
Yeah.
but Sydney time as well. So, yeah, we have to. There's so many time zones now
Yes.
after the 5th of October. So, yeah, we're open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you to everybody that's listening to this podcast. It's been
Thank you.
great to have Bailey on board today.
Thanks.
Yeah, really enjoyed spending time with you, mate, and I look forward to doing this again with you hopefully next year.
Thanks, Cody.
Perfect.
Thank you.